This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information for how you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Poems by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read by Linda Liu. Editor's Preface to Notes. Catarinae, hunc librum, qui filii eius, carissimi, poetae tabitam, ingenio laudam expectantis, serum tamen monumentum esset annum aetatis non aginta octo agenti veteris amicitiae pignus. R.B. An editor of posthumous work is bounded to give some account of the authority for his text, and it is the purpose of the following notes to satisfy inquiry concerning matters whereof the present editor has the advantage of first-hand or particular knowledge. The sources are four, and will be distinguished as A, B, D, and H, as here described. A is my own collection, a manuscript book made up of autographs, by which word I denote poems in the author's handwriting, pasted into it as they were received from him, and also contemporary copies of other poems. These autographs and copies date from 67 to 89, the year of his death. Additions made by copying after that date are not reckoned or used. The first two items of the facsimiles are cuttings from A. B is a manuscript book into which, in '83, I copied from A certain poems of which the author had kept no copy. He was remiss in making fair copies of his work, and his autograph of the Deutschland having been seemingly lost, I copied that poem and others from A at his request. After that date he entered more poems in this book as he completed them, and he also made both corrections of copy and emendations of the poems which had been copied into it by me. Thus, if a poem occur in both A and B, then B is the later end, except for overlooked errors of copyist, the better authority. The last entry written by G.M.H. into this book is of the date 1887. D is a collection of the author's letters to Canon Dixon, the only other friend who ever read his poems, with but few exceptions, whether of persons or of poems. These letters are in my keeping. They contain autographs of a few poems with late corrections. H is a bundle of posthumous papers that came into my hands at the author's death. These were at the time examined, sorted, and indexed, and the more important pieces, of which copies were taken, were inserted into a scrapbook. That collection is the source of a series of his most mature sonnets, and of almost all the unfinished poems and fragments. Among these papers were also some early drafts. The facsimiles a and b are from H. The latest autographs and autographic corrections have been preferred, in the very few instances in which this principle was overruled, as in numbers 1 and 27. The justification will be found in the note to the poem. The finished poems, from 1 to 51, are arranged chronologically by the years, but in the sections 52 to 74, a fanciful grouping of the fragments were preferred to the inevitable misrepresentations of conjectural dating. G.M.H. dated his poems from their inception, and however much he revised a poem, he would date his recast as his first draft. Thus, Handsome Heart was written and sent to me in '79, and the recast which I reject was not made before '83. While the final corrections may be some years later, and yet his last autograph is dated as a first, Oxford, '79. This edition purports to convey all the author's serious mature poems, and he would probably not have wished any of his earlier poems
Sample complete. Ready to continue?